Let's welcome Stuart on stage.
Hi guys, you all get the Gold Star Award because you're still here. We're only running 2 hours, 10 minutes late, so apologies for that. And commendations to you all for hanging around, for the best is always left to last, as you know. And we have the stunning Georgina, and we have the hipster from Norway. So, and of course, all the way from cold London, myself. So welcome to this fireside chat. We're just lacking the pit. And, but we hope that you guys will help us create some fire in this chat. So I'm just going to ask the guys, because it is the karaoke session. You do realize that? You stayed for karaoke? So Georgina's going to kick us off, and PREBEN's going to sort of be the backing vocals, and I'm just going to be the DJ. So a little bit of an intro before we get going. Georgina.
Thank you so much, Stuart. I think he deserves a clap for that. Come on, let's give him one. Do we have any techies left in the room? Be confident. Just shoot your hand right up. Thank you, Alfred. Thank you so much. So my name is Georgina Mukami, technology enthusiast. We all remember the OSI 7 layers, do we? So I operate on level 8, human interaction. I work a lot with product development to ensure that we solve problems for the customers, ensuring we keep reducing the digital divide of the tech haves and the tech have-nots for, obviously, financial inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And my name is PREBEN, one of the co-founders of Furhat Robotics. You've most likely seen the robot out there. So we were 4 founders with, I have a PhD in speech and language technology from Sweden. And all the 4 founders have PhDs from the same lab. And it was actually a research project, that whole robot thing, that went to, at some conference, Walt Disney Research came up and said they wanted to buy one of our robots. Or they said something like, what's your VAT number? Or, you know, like assuming us to be a company. And we just said, oh my God, this is a good reason we have to start a company here. So that was the start of Furhat Robotics in 2014. And the rest is history. Great.
Well, if you're interested in me, just find me on LinkedIn. That's the only plug I'm going to give. And let's get stuck on. Let's get going. On we were tasked with thinking about and talking about AI and the customer experience. And I think those of us who are customers of most institutions, bar a few notable ones, will totally accept the fact that we need a transformation in customer experience. Would you agree with that? Or are you all thoroughly happy customers? Okay, so I think there's lots of nods in the audience there, and there was more than one. So I'll take that as a consensus. Okay, so guys, let's chat around. How can AI make a customer journey magical?
Thank you, Stuart, for that. Being a customer myself, I think AI has the opportunity to make things easier for me, make it more effective, and give me surprises every other time. We have instances where I have a problem, and I look at AI as picking pockets of information to solve a problem now. How many of you use Google Apps? And you get surprised that it tells you this is the best route to use, yet in your own thinking you are aware that route A was the best, but it informs you that route B is the best, and then you make an informed decision. Saving on time, we have chatbots. And when you are, for example, in the jam, and you think of all the 10 things you need to do in order to get, for example, your account balance, you have to do what? Pick up your phone. For those who don't have a mobile app, dial a USSD number. For those who have an app, start thinking about logging, put a PIN. But with AI and chatbots, I just, using voice recognition, ask, please, can I have my account balance? and it responds back. That way saves my time and gives me a good customer experience.
Thank you. I think it is different from for different people, and I think maybe particularly for a group of people in what's called the digital divide, people who are old and not comfortable with the technology that we have at the moment, or people who are illiterate, or for other reasons, maybe some kind of handicap. I think AI and new technologies holds a great promise to, in that sense, maybe democratize the customer experience more.
So PREBEN, obviously, we've all noticed the humanoid out there. Hopefully you've seen it in action, and you're going to see a lot more tomorrow. We were going to bring him up early, but we decided no, we'll get you all to come back tomorrow. Let's just talk about this digital divide, and let's talk around how do we use Mr. Furhat, or Mrs. Furhat, or Ms. Furhat, or the Android Furhat. How do we use that, do you think, to sort of bridge this digital divide?
Yeah, I saw a notice here that says the future is now, and I disagree, and I think the future is still tomorrow, and maybe Furhat can be a glimpse at the future in that sense, because let's say the company vision that we have is to be able to interact with technology the way we interact with each other. And so in that sense, because really the way we interact with technology today is very different, where we scroll and push buttons, and we have menus, and we have all these different layers of things, and sometimes it's very difficult to navigate and find your way and so on. And if we can bridge that gap between technology and ourselves, I think that will hold a great promise for a better user interaction. But having said that, when we have launched technological solutions too early, and you end up having a lot of "I didn't get that" or misunderstandings and so on, it maybe reduces the user experience instead. So it's a balance there. Huh?
So I think it's quite interesting if you think about the fact we're a messenger society these days. We're a WhatsApp society. We do a lot of texting and communicating. And what's interesting is AI with the chat boxes has started to assist in that and deal with the FAQs, the repetitive stuff which we'd like to know. You were one of the innovators in the whole chat box arena when you were a little bit younger than you are now. Just talk to us about what were the catalysts that sort of sparked that, and then from that knowledge and experience, how do you see that moving forward? And then I'd love you to talk around, how you think chatbots is going to really are really going to help here, which will be in the banking space.
Yeah, so I told you earlier that before I went to start Furhat Robotics, I worked a few years in the chatbot industry, or building chatbot solutions for banks and so on. And it is really, in this context, weird to see that the service provider, the bank or whatever, their purpose, the reason for setting up the chatbot, is it really to increase user experience, improve user experience, or is it to save money? And most of the time, I think it's actually to save money. Banks don't want to save money. Banks want to make money. And so by reducing the cost, maybe they think that is one way of making more money. But if that comes at a cost of user experience, then I think in the long run, maybe they're making less money. But so I've seen examples of recommendations from creators of web pages where it's like, you should remove the phone number from your web page. You should hide it. Although you have one and you have a customer service on the phone, you have different channels. You have a chat channel, you have a phone channel, and maybe you have an email channel or something like that. But you push the one that saves you the most money, and then maybe you have to type into the chatbot, can I call you, or what is your phone number, in order for them to show the phone number. And I think that's super bad user experience or bad habit. You have to kind of navigate in a tricky way to get what you want.
Yeah, I think there's definitely two sides to that coin. So, Georgina, why don't you come in and give the other side to that coin?
Yes, Ben is quite brilliant, but we don't seem to agree on that point. The work of the bank is to give solutions to the customer.
Not to make money.
While making money. Customer is number one, and customer is king for us. So definitely the user experience is top of the list. And we have several use cases. And I'm so glad you're around, because I'm going to give you thousands of use cases that you will see the benefit of that. And I know Stuart agrees with me. That's why he's smiling.
I sort of agree. I've used these bots on occasion. They have proved to be quite helpful, actually.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you do get through to a call center, sometimes it is even more difficult to communicate.
Yes, and I think everyone in the room agrees. We have various use cases: account opening, loan application. So we've reduced all this human interaction in terms of walking to a branch, getting a form, filling it up. All that can be achieved with a chatbot. You'll raise it up either on your phone or through the website, and interactively the questions are asked. I'd like to open an account. You give in your details. We have moved 10 steps ahead in terms of KYC. So the chatbot carries out the KYC. Once the KYC is done, the usual back-end processes happen, and pop, you have your account and you have your loan. Wouldn't you be a satisfied customer? It took you about less than 2 minutes to do that. So those are some of the use cases. And that way you've saved time, you've saved cost, but that was your indirect. You wanted to satisfy the customer. You have a satisfied customer who will use your product and look at the cost to the bank. You did save your costs.
Absolutely. And so if that is how things are running in Kenya, then applause to your bank.
Yes, please clap for Kenya.
Applause for Kenya and for your bank. And I'm not saying that there are technical possibilities that this technology can make things faster and life easier for the customer. I'm thinking about the priority of things. Is that what when the task is been given to whoever the company that is implementing this thing, there are priorities, and saving money and user experience can sometimes be at like one at a cost of the other.
Sure.
Well, of course, it's been a journey, and what Stuart was alluding to, we come from a space where you had to call, press 1 to do this, press 2 to do this. By the time you're getting to 3, you don't even remember what you were being asked to do in press 1, and what happens? You abandon the call. So we were there.
And you're not there anymore?
I would say we've made significant improvement in that. So that's why we have the use cases of you can open an account.
Yeah.
You can get, credits through the chatbots.
Yeah.
So I think be optimistic and believe that it is actually customer experience at the forefront of this product.
Yeah, I'm sorry to be the...
No, it's fine. So listen,
grunge.
chatbots have a value. Like all technologies, there are ups and downs in the deployment of those and the experience of those. And I think with probably the exception of Amazon, is the only business that you could pretty much say we're not disappointed with. If you order it, it's done and it's delivered. And you haven't spoken to anybody in the process, which is quite interesting.
And we're getting there. We're getting there.
So we're making progress. Let's talk about the pace of change. Georgina, what do you sense? Obviously, you're a millennial. I can tell that. So what is the sort of pace of change that you see in Kenya and maybe in East Africa?
Well, Stuart, did you use machine learning or AI to determine I'm a millennial?
I just need some glasses.
You need to have your eyes checked. Well, I see, how do we say, augmented AI and chatbots. We cannot completely remove the human from this interaction. So we are going to see cases where I start on a chatbot, and I will not even know that it transferred me to an agent, because the agent now will give me the personalized service. So I will start, I need this account, I need this. So once I get it, it will transfer me to an agent and let me know what else can you do for me. So that's one of the trends. The other trends we see is in terms of prescriptive. I will start, this is around AI. We all have a spending pattern. We all have our behaviors. So we are going into a level where immediately before your salary gets into your account, you're going to get a pop-up on financial advice. 2 days before that, and probably if you're the people who are akin to the lending, borrowing apps and M-Shwari and Fuliza, 2 days before your due payment, you get to be informed on how to spend your money for the next 1 month. So we're seeing a lot of digital assistance and what you'd call a personal concierge kind of business that's going to be with AI and around that whole space. So that's how I see it. And it's important because it will make our work easier, it will make our life easier, thereby giving us space to think more and innovate more. Yes. So
we know that a key part of AI is not only just the analyzing of the data and identifying the patterns which are new to us, and any business that ignores those patterns is probably not going to be around in maybe 5 years, maybe sooner, because customers are king ever increasingly in this new digital world that we're rapidly racing into. What do you think, PREBEN, are the new digital touch points that businesses should be thinking about? Because most businesses are industrial, they're not necessarily digital. Some have, a website and that makes them digital, they think. How would you encourage businesses looking at this, not being coders, not being from the MIT of Stockholm? How should they, what should they think? What digital touch points should they start thinking about?
You're thinking in terms of business, local businesses here.
Yeah, businesses.
And
the business community, from the big to the little guys, because little guys have the opportunity of being more agile than the big guys. They can step into things and embrace things much more rapidly.
No, I mean, I do think, otherwise I wouldn't be in this business at all. I do think that tech holds an amazing promise for the future. It is a way, it can potentially be, the best thing that has happened to mankind. But here I end up being the grumpy guy again. It can also be the worst thing that ever happened to us. Sure. And we have these two different camps in the world. We have some really smart people who says, not to worry, this is all going to be great. And then we have some really smart people who are really worried and say, this is maybe the most important discussion that we need to have that ever, And maybe I tend to lean more towards that angle, that corner.
I think it's good to, a business mantra, isn't it, is plan for the worst and work for the best. And I think in this space, those of us who've followed the tracks of this digital momentum juggernaut, that people like Elon Musk, have been campaigning in America with the Senates to put controls, frameworks in place around AI and this whole AI for good movement. Because there's a flip side to every innovation and every disruptive, transformational epoch, and this is one of those, which we have the privilege of living in. So I think it's clearly be wise counsel for us to really think about what's the downside of this.
There's an analogy of AI and a rocket, that AI can be like rocket fuel. It has this incredible power that it can take us very far. And then, to continue the analogy, for a rocket, you don't only need rocket fuel, you also need some steering mechanism, and you need a destination. You need a vision of knowing where you're heading, where are you going. And when it comes to this technology at the moment, we don't. We don't discuss the direction, and we don't have the steering mechanisms. And so we're just firing up and being really excited, like, wow, look how far we can go. And we need to discuss those two other
I think
aspects.
that's a whole nother summit, probably at least a week long.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Maybe
so
I was in the wrong one.
Huh?
No.
no, it's good. It's good. We should be passionate about the future and making sure it's a safe and fair and enriching place for us all to walk into.
And back to customer experience.
Back to customer experience.
Sorry.
So, Georgina, and you obviously bank a lot of businesses in Kenya. What advice would you give to those businesses in terms of embracing AI and customer experience?
Do it now. You're several years behind. Do it now. But most importantly,
what's the practical ABCs?
Harness the power of your patterns. Don't get lost in your data. Banks have a lot of data. Now is the time to start harnessing the power of machine learning and AI so that you can get insights. Banks are, very common in sending out a product to a customer. So in this room, I see so many different profiles, but I'll just give them one way to open their account, one saving product. But what we need is person X has this kind of spending pattern. This is their like, so let the product be tailored to them. Person B, this is what they need. Also, think about the experience through the omni-channel. What happens is, picking up from where Ben started, you'll make the call. At point 3, you'll hang up. So what needs to happen is that somewhere along the line, you need to get a trigger to remind you that while the call disconnected, you are looking for a certain product. Are you still interested? Then somewhere else, you should get a call from an agent. 2 days back, this is what happened. So the customer journey needs to be end-to-end across all the channels. And AI will help with patterns. AI will help us understand with cognitive analytics. It will also help us to be able to solve the problem of the customer now, using data, obviously. The room went quiet.
Georgina for president, I'd say.
That's it. It's good to pause and soak in some of the stuff. Otherwise, we rush on to the next bit and we forget what was said.
Yeah.
Lots of value there. So, there's no doubt this is a juggernaut which is unstoppable. So those of us who are here obviously accept that and are part of the picture. And I think PREBEN's comments around we all need to think about both sides of the equation is very helpful. And as a business community, we would encourage the government to think about that, to put in place, because you can see a situation where insurance companies are prejudiced against the poor. And you can see how this digital divide creates even greater poverty. And we talk about digital poverty. Digital poverty is probably the greatest form of future poverty we're going to be facing. So as emerging fast growth economies, these are key things for us to, key questions that need to be framed. And we need the great and the good and the learned to debate fiercely the answers to those questions. And in terms of customer service, I think you'll be all familiar with this whole thing of CX, customer experience, and design thinking. It's all about ask the customers, what is it you really want?
Actually, yeah.
And they call it DX. And I'm like, why is it called DX? Just call it a conversation. So I think it's just really, I would encourage all the businesses, and especially the banks, if they're not going to be wiped out by the new digital challenges, which I think is a big challenge, that to engage with customers as simple as asking,
what is it?
and more importantly, listening. I think that's a key thing for every business to engage with. What do your customers really, really want and really need? And I think at that point, the first bell went, and I think we'll call it a day there, ladies and gentlemen. But just a few last words from PREBEN and Georgina before we look forward to meeting Furhat tomorrow.
Well, I believe in AI, and I look at AI as picking pockets of data to solve the problem now, not tomorrow, but I need the solution now. And also, businesses need to think around process automation. Most of these things that the AI or the machine needs to do needs to be automated. And what outcomes do you want? And that's what PREBEN was. If your outcome is centered along saving of costs, you know one side is going to suffer. But I believe no business will go wrong if the focus is on a good customer experience.
And I would say that in my analogy with the rocket and the destination, then what you're giving examples of are good destinations. And so we need strong leadership to discuss these situations. And so I hope you come in a position where your opinions are leading the way. Georgina for president.
Yes, please clap.
Okay, guys, so just a few rounding thoughts. Just in case you don't know, it's worth exploring these. But did you know that North Face, the brand that most people wear when they're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, uses the supercomputer Watson to create a personalized online shopping experience when you go to their website? Did you know that? That's what they do. If you've ever been to the UK and you've seen Dixons selling every electronic gadget known to man, they have a bot called Cami, who knows everything about every one of their products and can design and let you know exactly the right gadget that you need to walk out of the shop with. Domino's, have you heard of Dom? Go to Facebook, tell Dom, pizza. Guess what appears? A pizza. So that's pretty cool. So they'll connect up to Alexa, I'm pretty sure, soon, and or Siri, or maybe even Jubilee will give you a free pizza if you say Julie and Dom. That would be a bit of clever marketing, wouldn't it? You get a free pizza once a week if you're a Jubilee client and you like Julie. And China Merchant Bank, they literally handle 1.5 to 2 million customer conversations each day. That's a lot of conversations through their bot. KFC. One day you're going to walk into KFC and it's going to recognize who you are, and it's going to, on your gadget, say, "Do you want to order the same again?" And it'll be done, and your payment will be just processed, and you'll just pick it up, and off you go. So the future is bright. It's always bright, but we need to be always conscious of the dark side. So guys, thanks ever so much for listening. Well done for staying with us. And we're done. We'll see you tomorrow. If there's questions, there is a question. Do you want us to take questions, or are we done?
Hello. Thank you for the presentation. My name is Anwar. I have two questions about the chatbot. And as we know that the chatbot is basically handled by the two technologies, which are the natural language generation and the natural language understanding. I would like to ask two questions. One is about, does the chat box only know specific answers to specific questions? And the second question is the limitation of language, because the chatbot is usually English-centric. So will there be any changes on such situations where the diversity, as we know here in Kenya, that the language diversity is very big, and expanded. So I would like to ask Georgina to answer that question in order to see if we can get a way forward, because most of the banks might be having clients who are not English oriented.
Okay, thank you for that. To answer your first question, yes and no. There's the obvious answers to every question, that what is my account balance? If you have identified yourself, it will automatically give you the predictive answer. But there are those answers that are done with machine learning. When you pick up insights, a chatbot is able to tell those, of course, with intelligence, this customer's question, this is the likely answer. And with chatbots, as you know, it's randomly picking through a set of already identified answers. So for example, you might say, it's a bit cold right now, I'm not sure what to wear. So that is different data sets, and from that, when you combine the different data sets, you're able to get an answer. So they are the direct answers of yes and no. With regards to native language, we all have about 40 languages, and that's where the future is right now. So with chatbots and technologies improving, we'll be able to have chatbots in Sheng, we'll be able to have chatbots understand Kiswahili and English, and I think, I can't remember the app, but there is one that is already right now can understand Sheng. You'll give me your contact, I'll let you know about that chatbot, because we've already tried it. I hope that answers your question. Okay.
That's good. In the fireside, we need burning things.
Or perhaps it is an itchy one. My name is Bakari. The whole business, you have been doing a good job so far. Especially this presentation has been very educative. The whole business of communication and technology and machine learning and robotics, all this is meant to make life easy and enjoyable, especially to the customer. But there's one thing that, okay, you have given Kenyans kudos for the good work they are doing, especially the banking industry. However, what could be the explanation as to why it is cheaper, for example, to perform transactions at the bank teller? You walk all the way to the bank and you present yourself to the teller to transact funds. It is cheaper than going to an ATM or accessing the same through mobile applications. What explains that dichotomy? Thank you.
I can just comment on it and say that in my country, in Sweden, or I think anywhere in Europe, you're being penalized for going to the bank and wanting to cash. That is the most expensive way to do it. If you go online, it's for free and so on. So if it's differently here, maybe it's changing, or I don't know.
Bakari, who do you bank with, if I may ask?
Okay, let me.
Anyway, you don't need to.
Yeah, sure.
Is that, does the audience agree with that premise that you're charged more at the teller? But you see, he says you are charged more at the ATM and mobile. And
You're charged more or less? You're charged more than the teller.
Than the ATM.
Or through mobile technology.
The teller, I would believe, would be more, because you want to. Okay. I thought you said the teller you're charged more. We are okay with that.
No, it is cheaper.
Yes.
It is cheaper at the teller than at the ATM.
I don't think.
Or mobile technology.
I think the audience doesn't agree with you.
It's more expensive. It's getting more expensive for
Oh,
Mobile technology more expensive.
So you mean to do a transaction, for example, like a deposit at the teller, you would not be charged, but a deposit via mobile money, you're charged?
No, I'm talking about, not about the deposit.
Yes.
But with withdrawal.
Let's take an example, withdrawing.
Yes.
Okay, so give me your use case.
Either through the mobile app, not through the mobile money transfer, or through, mostly the mobile transfer, which uses this technology.
So for example, if I do a withdrawal at the teller, I'm charged 100 shillings, but at a mobile app, I'd be charged 200 shillings. We need to have a discussion. I think you're banking with the wrong people.
Or you can just buy more shares in Safaricom. I think there's one more question, but guys, you'll have to tell us when to stop, because my moderation finished at the first bell. Time's up. Okay.
I'm really
sorry. So if you've got more burning questions, please catch us afterwards. And or we can just keep talking until tomorrow, and the program will start. Okay. So a big thank you to our panel, and it's been a pleasure working with you. And a big thank you to Trescon for facilitating and getting us all together to talk about these things. Thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, panelists.